Hello, my name is Brendan O'Toole, and I would like to welcome you to Portal Magazine's Portfolio Series, where we will have readings and interviews with student writers and published authors from Vancouver Island University and the world. I would also like to acknowledge the Snuneymuxw, Quw'utsun, and Tla'amin, whose traditional lands we study and learn on. Portal 2022 is being designed by Natasha Razmarnowicz and published by students from VIU's Creative Writing Department's Portal class. Today I have with me student writer Shawnda Wilson. Shawnda Wilson is a poet originally from Montreal, Quebec. She has self-published numerous chapbooks, most recently published by her own publishing company, Wufet Arts. She had published an anthology titled The Ant of Elves Hotel and a poetry compilation titled Muses on a Tightrope. She is also a visual artist and writer of short fiction. She currently resides in Victoria, BC. So Shawnda's brought us a piece of a poem today. And Shawnda, would you like to read that for us?
Okay, so this poem is called Raggedy Ann. When you show Papa you've won an award, he shushes you. Wait for the commercial. You wait. Then, Papa? What good is that, he says, looking at the television. How can you turn that into money? When you are 4 years old, a long blonde brother is born. You spend days outside in the yard. The grass is softer than carpet, good for rolling downhill. The crab apples are too pink, small and pucker sour. You eat them until you throw up. The strawberry bushes are low, rustle with wind songs, so small and sweet, you must compete with the bumblebees who also eat there. The large ants in the cracks of the paved square are easy to catch. You make brother eat them. There are no trees down at the bottom of the hill by your playhouse. The rooftop patio looking into the ravine, the river, the train bridge above. There are shadows good for hiding in when no one wants to see you anyway. You sit on the rooftop soaking wet in sunbeam. You try to hold on to one, to bring it to your heart, but it won't stick, won't warm your insides up. When you are successful, people aren't proud. They want you to be better or to be less. So you stop trying to be great, to make your stain last. You spend more time in the shade of others. Your heart is sick. Raggedy Ann has black eyes. They are round, not enough lashes. She has freckles. You call her ugly. Ann and you have made a bathroom in the playhouse no one knows about. It's a 5-gallon orange bucket. A dirty roll of toilet paper sits on the wooden floor. You don't like when the red-haired neighbor boy knocks at the playhouse door. He wants to watch you on the bucket. Alone, you lay flat on the rooftop patio, cling to Ann, play invisible. Raggedy Ann is not afraid of weasels, not even the ones that chase you in the ravine. She can stare at the sky all day, seeing nothing. Don't look into the sun, you tell her, but she does it anyway. The sun is not your friend, you tell her, but she keeps on staring. Today there are 3 boys in the ravine lighting small grass fires until one becomes its own sun, furious that it has been brought down this way. The boys run away. The fire runs every way. Fire trucks come. The men are angry. Ann and you hide because you are witness. Ann's not afraid of grown-ups, but you are. You avoid the patch of upturned dirt beside the vegetable garden where Bino is buried. You run past. Never look at the stick cross that marks the spot. Ann says Bino didn't love you, only she did. You know she did. She'll never forgive you now, Ann says. But you don't want to be forgiven. You just want to be loved. You pull carrots and eat them still covered in earth. You pick peas, split their seams, drop one pea at a time, and crush them with your bare feet. You and Anne raise your arms to the new moon coiled, stiff like one hair on the bald patch where the ravine burned. Mama is dead. No one looks out the window to where you play by yourself with Anne. Anne is flying on the wind, arms wide, she kicks her legs. You hold her tight by one arm. The only people to play with are the red-haired neighbor who wants to watch you pee, or the girl with one crossed eye who hides safety pins in the shag carpet for you to step on. Out here you are wild, talking with the wind, pulling tufts of grass even when it tells you it hurts. You let mosquitoes land and poke you until they're full of blood, and then splat them against your skin, smearing the blood you used to own. No one is ever watching you and Anne, but you see everything and run at the wind with wild abandon, going nowhere. You and Anne were picking raspberries. Well, not too many made it into the green glass bowl you had taken from the kitchen cupboard. You heard the shot before you felt the pellet that hit you in the back. Boys only like to shoot things when someone is watching. He wasn't a nice kind of boy. His father laughed as you winced. "Oh, don't be a sissy," he said. This time the shot hit Anne and she cried out. The pellet stuck into her left eye. She was half blind when you pulled it out. "Go away," you started to say when a shot hit you in the chin. The raspberry bushes quivered. The nettle plants hiding in the grass gaped, hoped the boy would step near them so they could grab his legs and burn him. You ran at him. His father stuck a foot out and tripped you, skidding along your face, getting stained by the long grass you tumbled, and then rolled on purpose, watching the sky change to grass, then back to sky. You don't like knowing bad people. They are harder to forget than the good ones. You picked up Anne, stuck out your tongue to the father and his boy, and ran. Father has made hot milk and honey. You can never sleep at night. Only the milk is skim powdered, the honey creamed. Neither stir right. He hands you the too hot mug he has microwaved. He is not good at pretending to care about you. You tell him about the red-haired neighbor. His father is a criminal lawyer. You have to toughen up, he says. He is going to the Bahamas again. Needs those neighbors to look after you because mother is dead. And everyone should be so lucky to call a criminal lawyer friend. You sleep under your bed now so that you don't float away or sink right through. The monsters are everywhere. You turn on lights, keep your eyes open, sing, but they just laugh at you. Climb on your walls, make circles of color swirl around your head. You want it to be black. You don't want to wake to father slapping you in the face with the cold, wet cloth. You sneak sometimes outside to the backyard, lay on your back where the lawn turns into hill. You wish you were a shooting star is what you wish on shooting stars. Your father knows nothing about you. There were years you would have told him, but not now. Now he is dead to you, not yet deceased. You were afraid of his wrath, irrational, violent outbursts, and then ice cream sundaes at Dairy Queen. Now you ask it to fade. You commit memory murder. You erase chalkboards of time. The past is not a safe place. Now is not good either. The future was just a lie, fool's gold. You see your father, his pride in not giving a shit, drowning alone in his paper hauls of money and television. Television you have in common. You would like to remember believing in something.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing, Shawnda.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, I'm just going to ask some questions for people who don't know you as well. Could you give us a little background on yourself and how you kind of came into writing and art in general?
Okay. I started journaling really young. And it was a way to express myself because I didn't have anyone who would ever listen to me, you know? So it's just like a way to put my thoughts and feelings and ideas down. It was all a mess. You could see like what my life was like, you know, none of it was useful. And then I got into poetry maybe I was about 20, I would guess. I started writing poems. People liked them. So I thought, oh, this is something good that I do. And so I would make, well, we called them in Montreal, we called chapbooks zines.
Yeah,
We
zines.
call it all the same thing. So I used to make zines, and like I would put, like, they would be for sale for $2, but I honestly did not care. I just would put them anywhere, like around the city. I'd put them in coffee shops. I'd put them in bookstores. I just put them around, and like
Just kind of guerrilla marketing, right? Just kind of throwing them out there.
Just knowing they had to be enough places to like find the right people.
Mm-hmm.
And I would put my address on the back, like I'm old, right? So people would write to me, like this was this amazing thing that would actually happen, is that people would find it and be like, I was super moved by your writing, and like write me a letter. And some people actually became friends. And like there a couple people like came, they were just visiting Montreal, and then they would like come and visit me. And then I started doing there was this thing called Words and Music that we did once every month for years and years and years at a bar called Casa del Popolo in Montreal. And that really changed, like that's the first place I ever performed.
So what was that like performing for the first time?
Like I was all nerves. There was a bit of comfort because I knew the guy who ran the thing very well. So I trusted, like, if he was letting me be up there.
Yeah, he's not doing it to laugh you off the stage.
Yeah. And the audiences were really varied. Like some people that you would know now, they started there. Like I saw them when they were kids, like starting their first time. And then I'll see their name in something and I'm like, what? So it was a really cool thing. And it just like broadened my mind to what poetry could be. Mm-hmm. And exposed me to a lot of different writers, because it wasn't only poets that came.
Shawnda, I noticed that with a lot of your writing, your poetry and your short fiction, you have quite a raw kind of sensibility. Can you kind of go a little further into detail on the reason for that?
It's certainly not intentional. I would say it's just the life that I've had. It's my most authentic voice. I have been branching out quite a bit in poetry and short fiction, but like my style is narrative, no matter what. And I just am who I am.
Yeah. And you've been going, at least recently, you've been taking a lot more time getting into long form poetry. How do you find that the approach to that is different than writing your typical like one page, like kind of 5 short stanzas, like that type of poetry?
I love it for so many reasons. I love it because I am a storyteller, and it gives me more room to tell a fuller story without it having to be a story. Still like being poetic and metaphorical. In a short story, if you're saying something about like the nettles want to reach out and sting this boy's legs, you kind of have to, that has to be justified in the context of like the world that the story is in, but in a poem, it doesn't. A lot of the poets that I'm really crazy about currently write long poems.
And you talk about the poets that you're reading right now. I know that the poem you read to us was inspired by a certain poet.
Yes, I had the book out here so I could show you. So by Lola Ridge from this book.
Mm-hmm.
And the poem, the poem, it was going to be an imitation of her poem Jude, but
Mm-hmm.
then it just veered off so much from that in the revising of it that it's not, but it certainly was inspired by that. My first introduction to her was a poem called Betty.
Who else do you take a lot of inspiration from other writers?
I'm crazy about Ilya Kaminsky.
Okay.
I'm currently reading this book of his.
Dancing in Odessa.
The feeling that you get, like sometimes I'm like, I don't even understand what he was talking about, but I feel everything. So he's really amazing. Lawrence Ferlinghetti, I've been in love with for a long time. Nick Flynn, I went through a phase of him. Susan Musgrave was like the very first poet that I got really into, actually, like 24 years ago.
What was it about her that really, reached out to you?
I was a new mom and her poems just like spoke to me. Like I just was like, yes, this is what I'm going through. This is what I'm feeling. My husband at the time got a book signed from her. We wrote letters a few times and I saw her once in Montreal. Like she had a big impact on poetry and me.
And that's the other thing I want to ask you. You have two cities that kind of really, really inspire you. Those being Montreal and New Orleans.
Yeah.
Can you kind of talk about what it is about those places that really inspire your work?
Yeah, well, Montreal is just really freeing because the entire world lives there. There's every kind of person, there's every kind of food, every kind of music. There's always so much going on. Like even when I would go through broke times, there's so much free to do. Like you can have a really vibrant life.
Mm-hmm.
And then New Orleans is just the only place I've ever felt like whole and at home. It's the only place I felt I was allowed to be 100% myself. And like, it was just nothing.
Mm-hmm. And going from those places to Vancouver Island.
I don't want to say too much about it, really. It's been pretty terrible.
Let's just talk a little bit more about, I guess, art in general. I know you're multimedia artist. Can you talk about, I guess, circumstances in which you would want to convey something in poetry versus conveying something in just a painting or a print?
I don't even like to give my visual art titles. I do not like to talk about it at all. I need to not have to use words sometimes.
And then I know you were published in Portal last year for one of your poems.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit of the program, like school, the editing process, and just how you've felt about it?
School, and specifically the creative writing program, has 100% saved my life on Vancouver Island. It's been incredible for me. The editing process is growing on me. I just edited 2 short stories and I loved the process. That was the first time that's ever happened where I had a really fun time changing them.
You felt like it really developed over that change?
And I felt this freedom. I was like, I can manipulate this any way. Like it doesn't affect anything. Like I wrote the story to begin with.
I always love getting a chance to chat with you. So I really just want to thank you for coming on and talking to me a little bit about poetry. I'm glad you were able to read something of yours.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Shawnda.
Thank you.